quick tip for making a needle felt wreath. In the past, I've made them using polystyrene wreaths and they're expensive, they're bad for the planet, and quite frankly, they just make me go really cold. So I had an idea, and I've used embroidery hoops before for making wreaths, but crochet, and then you end up with a really small rim. But it doesn't matter if we're going to put wool on it. That's actually better because we can build up the layer we want. We could have more on the bottom, less on the top, whatever. This one has been used for a project before, which I no longer needed, so I'm going to leave the glue on. Doesn't matter at all. I would suggest that you take them apart and you use them both to make two separate wreaths, or for different projects. I wouldn't put them together. I don't see no benefit from that at all, because you're basically going to cover it. So you're just wrapping like you normally do. I suppose you could do it quite tight. It depends on what you're making. You could also like use some rags to wrap round it once if you don't want to use all core wool. That will save you money, but I think a wreath is something special. You're probably gonna, maybe depend on what you're making, it might be out all year, or it might be seasonal, or it might be a gift. So I think if this is a project that costs a little bit more to make than, you know, the average project, that's not too bad. And all I'm going to do is just take a needle and just pull it in slightly. I'm going to go at a bit of an angle so it goes through. And you can see like that's already staying on there. That's not going to need much work. It will just be like whether you want it even or not. And when you finish, again, you're just going to be going, just popping it in. It really isn't going to take much to get it to stay. And then you can spend as long as you want going round it. You know, you could have a big chunky snow scene. It could be an autumn scene. Whatever you want. But that's a cheap and really effective way of making. And you can find embroidery hoops in charity shops. You can buy them. They aren't always that expensive. One this size would probably be a bit more expensive. You can you could do tiny ones with little embroidery hoops. You could use plastic embroidery hoops. I prefer wood, but you could use plastic ones. You're going to have to be careful you don't hit the wood with the needle, but that's not, you know, that doesn't really happen very often. And I'm actually thinking I'm probably going to make the bottom slightly chunkier than the top, and it's not going to take too much wool actually to do that. And you could just go around with the first colour you want, unless you're going to have multiple colours. But yeah, I think that's a really good way of starting a wreath.